armchair commanders, we call the shots. From our living room thrones where the action's hot. We're the generals of fiction, the masters of war. In silver screen battles with buttered popcorn. Armchair commanders, armchair commanders.
All right, welcome to the Armchair Commanders podcast. My name is John.
And I'm Jack.
And this week, we are reviewing our first Abbott Costello film, Abbott Costello in the Foreign Legion.
Abbott and Costello start a decades-long quagmire of geopolitical turmoil in the Middle East.
Yeah, this was different. I'm not sure what I was really expecting out of this, but what I got was not what I was expecting.
In a good way, or
I'm not quite sure. Hold up.
Well, this was my first Abbott and Costello movie ever, period, so I had no idea what to expect.
So this is your first Abbott and Costello film ever?
That is correct.
You never saw like Abbott and Costello and the Mummy or like the Wolfman or anything like that?
Abbott and Costello prevent the 9/11 tragedies, no.
So I've seen quite a few Abbott and Costello films, and this is one of them. Definitely one of them. It's not. If we were to be like, man, you got to watch Abbott and Costello, this is not the film I would be telling people to watch.
Oh.
I like the humor is very on brand for them, but in this film, it kind of feels like they were phoning it in a bit.
I did a bit of research, and this is like during the waning years of their career.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Like, they definitely felt more like 40s stars, and this was done in like 1950. Kind of the same way how like the Three Stooges were really popular in the 30s and 40s and kind of fell out of favor in the 50s.
Yeah. So sad their career died during the war.
All good things were ended by World War II.
Uh-huh. Such a tragedy. But I would like to amend an earlier statement I made in this podcast. Algeria is not in the Middle East, it's in Africa. Big difference. Or is it? Am I just geographically wrong?
No, I mean, Algeria is in Africa, but like, I don't know. Egypt is also in Africa, but when we also consider that to be Middle East?
Yeah, it's a big fucking, it's an Arabic country. So yeah, Abbott and Costello start the decades-long geopolitical quagmire in the Middle East amongst Arab countries.
Abbott and Costello are the reason the French gave up Algeria. They're like, you know what? This colony shit isn't worth it with these idiots.
You know what? These guys are my heroes. Anti-colonialism activists through and through, risking their lives. You know what? I applaud them. Good for them.
You know, when I texted you, I was like, this isn't a war movie. I hadn't finished it yet. And I was ready to die on this hill because it took so fucking long for this movie to develop into an actual war movie. I'm like it's like, oh, they joined the Foreign Legion, ha ha ha. And I was like, is there any more to this? Or, but you know, they actually turned it into a nice little conflict at the end. But it took a long it felt like an hour of just bullshit scenarios to set up their comedy, and then the last like 20 minutes was like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be a war movie. We better do something that makes it a war movie.
And was I wrong?
No, you were not wrong. After completing the film, I will say this is a war movie, loosely, yes.
Yeah, I was right for once.
But I have to imagine they probably blew the entire budget. Blew. Blowing up their fucking fort.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
And I love the fact that like they did it with like an Acme like plunger device too.
Well, yeah. Acme's a wholesale arms dealer.
What really kind of caught me, I was like, this every bit feels like a low budget 50s film. And what I mean by that is that you can very obviously see or tell that this is done, or most of it is done on like a a shooting set where like the foreground is, you know, real stuff, but then they just have like a painted wall behind them.
Yeah, I forget what that what the what's the proper word for that? Whatever. It looks cool though sometimes when done properly.
Sometimes it looks good. Other times it's like, what the fuck? Like, why is this desert in a warehouse?
Yeah, they spared no expense except for the ones that they did.
I imagine they also probably spent a good chunk of their budget on the machine gun scene in this.
I really wish I could get a gif of him just screaming and shooting.
Ah!
War as hell.
Just, I. What was the setup for that? Somebody just told him to like load it or clean it or something, and
I don't know if there was, honestly. If there was, I didn't catch it because I think he just found it and started shooting.
I love his follow up. He's like, something that dangerous doesn't deserve to be in the army. Like,
Yeah, someone could get hurt.
that was the other part of it. Like, this being very slapstick heavy is like, nobody ever gets shot in this film. Like, this dude destroys a fort with a machine gun and nobody gets hit with it. Like, they'll have like broken windows and shit, and like coconuts get shot off of a tree and fall on people's heads.
And the
But
lights
like
fall
nobody
down.
ever gets shot.
Yeah, that would be too dangerous. They had to save them to get blown up in the end.
I do appreciate the take on like just like shanghaiing people though in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I think this is what like one of the first times in a film we've seen that where it's like somebody gets tricked into joining the military. Um, which feels kind of illegal, but also this is 1950s French Algeria, and also the French Foreign Legion aren't exactly Boy Scouts, so
They're like police officers. You got to meet that quota.
right. Um, the thing from that like recruitment scene though that really stuck with me is, you know, they're like, congratulations, you're in the Foreign Legion now, and they like walk through the door and the door closes behind them, and then like the fucking door explodes like into like splinters, and he's like, what?
You just signed up for a 5-year stretch in the Foreign Legion. What?
But the thing is, that's the other part of this door. Like, how flimsy are fucking doors in this time period? Because that bit or that gag happens like 7 or 8 times where like a person will just like punch their way through a door and like a panel blows out and shit, or like, you know, Abbott Costello just are like, what? I'm like, granted, I've never tried punching a door, but I bet if I went and punched my door right now, I'd probably break my goddamn hand.
You know, I don't think it's the fact that the door's that weak. I just think that their power level is just that high.
Yes.
That's my
Lou
understanding.
Costello is like a level 10 tank.
Well, I mean, you there are two at least twice throughout the film where they're just getting the shit beat out of them by 6.5 foot tall, 300 pound Algerian men and just taking it.
Yeah, you take it.
And that dude like fought off all those goons when he was trying to get got earlier in the market scene. You know, he's running around and he stumble bumps around like, and he just takes it. And he's okay at the end. I mean, they have military training. I'm pretty sure this is like the third or fourth time they've been recruited into the military.
I'm going to have to look up to see what other Abbott and Costello military films there are. But
Abbott and Costello assassinate Franz Duke Ferdinand. Abbott and Costello drop into Normandy on D-Day.
Abbott and Costello assassinate the Fuhrer, and then the Bigfoot.
and then Bigfoot.
Well, I just Googled it. There's another one they have called Buck Privates. It's from 1941.
Yeah, see, they have experience.
Then there's one called Keep 'em Flying.
It's like the end of, what was it, 23 Jump Street, where it has all those fake movie posters of them like being Navy SEALs and then like Kung Fu Masters.
27 Jump Street. NASCAR.
Yeah, man. We were robbed of the modern day Abbott and Costello with Channing Tatum and that other guy, Jonah Hill. That other guy.
So I just looked it up, and because we're talking like Abbott and Costello, like military movies. I was wondering, like, did they serve at all? Because there was a lot of actors who did serve during World War II, and quite a few who didn't. John Wayne. But apparently they didn't serve, but they did like war bond selling tours, and they're
Oh, yeah, they raised a shitload of money.
85 million.
Damn. That's
So
to buy 2 Snickers.
they didn't quote unquote like fight in World War II, but they definitely did their part.
I was gonna say, if Costello served, I bet he did some fucked up shit. He definitely would have been collecting skulls. had the old necklace of German ears.
I feel like that'd be more like Abbott. Costello, I feel like he would be the guy who would be like a cook on an aircraft carrier and would accidentally like lose his cigarette in the fucking stew.
And then laugh and call it, it's your protein.
Yeah. Adds a little extra fiber. I will say, this movie, it felt like a very empty movie. Like there's a very limited plot line to this, and it felt like they dragged out a lot of scenes just to fill the runtime.
Yeah.
Like how long does a mirage in the desert scene have to last?
Long enough to pad out the time. And then we get that great little scene of when they actually do find a real mirage, and he has to argue that it's actually sand, and he has to get really hands-on with it so we know. And then they finally realize it's an oasis, an actual one, and then they spend time dicking around in it.
I will say probably my favorite scene in this entire movie came from the oasis shot when, I don't know, it's kind of like peak like slapstick humor from like the 30s and 40s of like Costello fucking fighting with a fish that for some reason is wearing dentures.
I'm glad, yeah, because the previous Arab guy that was there dropped it in the fucking catfish, which I'm not sure they're native to Algeria. The catfish gets the dentures.
I'm just surprised the Oasis had fish, period.
And don't question it, biology. Yeah, I was. Anyway, yeah, the scene where he keeps eating the fish and Costello keeps trying to capture him fruitlessly.
I think this would be a great time, seeing as I just mentioned that this was my favorite scene. We should talk about your favorite scene.
Man, my favorite scene is when they first get recruited and he looks at the cameras like, I guess Abbott and Costello are in the Foreign Legion now. Then the I'm kidding. I like that they keep getting knives thrown at them. And they mention that, like, we always get knives thrown at us in this country.
For as long of a debate as we had last night, I'm surprised you didn't lead off with Algerian slave wives.
Well, to our dear listeners, I kept trying to get him to spot me money to, what was it, $145,000 for an Algerian wife.
You said 160.
It's only $160,000, and then he almost paid it because the way I put it, Apple Pay detected it as a request. I almost got him.
You did. Apparently, if you put any kind of number with a dollar sign in front of it in your iPhone, one of the auto responses is for Apple Pay. So there it was a slim chance, but a chance nonetheless. I could have accidentally paid this dipshit money.
And yeah, this early on in the film, it's what's called a brick joke, where they just like leave a punchline hanging until the very end for the payoff. And I really wish I could remember the original brick joke, but I can't. But regardless, at the end, like he says he wants to bring something home with the trailer, and then his friend Bud Abbott unveils it, and surprise, it's the 6 slave wives he bought at the market. So the real lesson of this movie is that human trafficking is okay as long as you don't actually pay the person doing it and you get to keep your slave wives.
Right.
So ergo, you get to keep the slaves and you don't encourage the market because you rip them off. See? So it's okay.
Let's not pretend like Costello was not fucking down for this, though. Like he
tell the judge.
He legitimately made a joke because like Abbott's like explaining it to him. He's like, "Oh, these are, slave wives or whatever," and it's like they cook for you and you clean for you and all that. It's like, oh, in America we just call those wives, and I was like, Jesus fucking Christ! Like that was an okay joke.
I mean, you could argue that there's a feminist angle to that joke. I'm like, wow, this is a very progressive movie, acknowledging the suffrage of women in today's society.
I'm going to say Costello is not that forward thinking.
Man, this movie's woke. What liberal propaganda did you propose this week for us, John?
I don't know. After last week and the fucking atomic bombing, zombie Walking Dead, baby killing bullshit, like, I was like, you know what? We should watch something goofy. And I was like, we should watch, like, Nazis at the Center of the Earth, because, like, it has, like, Mecha Hitler in it. And you're like, how about Abbott and Costello? I'm like, you know what? Classic comedy duo. Let's do it. And then
I've actually been meaning to propose that for like a year now. Like I was going through the list of movies we have, and that one just stuck out.
That is one that has been on the list that I've thought about a lot too, but it's also been one of those where it's like there's a lot of films I wanted to do before it. But like we're far enough along into this show that we can kind of do whatever bullshit we want now.
Yeah, our advertisers aren't going to do shit to us because we don't have any.
I gave up on that dream long ago.
Well, I'm not going to give it up.
Who knows?
So what are you drinking tonight, speaking of sponsors?
The question is, what am I not drinking tonight? Because Miranda had her graduation party today. She got her master's.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't be there for that.
Oh, it's all good.
I have less
I
than
know you
$1
got
account and
got your
everything.
fancy trip to Egypt to pay for. Me.
Maybe on the upside, it's not as expensive as I thought it was going to be, but I still really do need to be saving money.
That's fair. Um, so I've been drinking since probably like 9:30 this morning. Um,
And that's different from every day. How?
well, I don't drink on work days.
That we
They
know
frown on that
of.
in
Just
government
clear
work.
track for me.
Um, so I've had some mixed drinks. I've had some beers. What I'm currently having, they're not our sponsor, but they could be, is Arizona iced tea. Now has a premium spiked beverage. So what I'm drinking is Arizona hard green tea.
God damn. I didn't even. I don't think they have that here.
I'm surprised. You know what shocked the shit out of me that I also purchased the other day? They now make hard Sunny D.
They've had that for a couple of years now, haven't they?
Okay, well shut the fuck up. I've only just seen it now, okay?
Because much like we created God in our own image, we also created Baja Blast Hard. I
Do
remember,
you think God stays out of human affairs because he too is in fear of what he has created?
yes, I remember in college, like reading this short story online where this alien anthropologist is examining our bombed out nuclear tomb world that we call Earth. And he's laughing about how we were simple creatures and with simple technology. And then he finds a bag called Easy Cheese now in squeezable form. And he laments our advanced civilization and how we came to a violent end before we could share our rich knowledge and culture with the galaxy. The secrets of squeezy cheese.
You know, I've had a pretty hard standing rule, which is never to trust shelf stable cheese.
oh, oh my. Au contraire, my co-host. Of
I
course,
had enough.
I'm
I
not
had
like
enough government cheese as a child. I'm good.
commodity cheese is pretty alright. But other than that, I'm not huge on cheese.
What are you drinking this evening?
Michelob Ultra, the official beer of Team USA. Superior light beer. And I've drank quite a bit of it this weekend. Because
I've always, I was like, really, Team USA? That's the best beer sponsor you could get. I don't, I don't know, like fucking Blue Moon or some shit.
and it goes down easy.
Yeah, because it's basically water.
You sound like an unpatriotic fuck. I bet you were cheering for all the other teams other than America this Olympics. You commie.
I was cheering for Team Latvia,
Fuck you.
and they fucking let me down in the 3-on-3 basketball tournament.
I'm gonna be honest, I kind of forgot Latvia even had an Olympics team. I haven't really heard much from them. They haven't really had any memes.
That's because they don't really have anything that they're good at, except 3-on-3 basketball. Those motherfuckers lost the bronze medal match.
Man, this clearly bothers you. I see that. I touched a nerve.
How they were the returning gold medal champions.
Yeah, well, I'm still upset America lost at shooting, but I'm glad of the memes we got out of it. So it's
I mean, that's a little bit of a misnomer. Like, we did win some medals in shooting. It's just like when that meme started, it was like day 2 of 7 for shooting sports.
holy shit.
So
So
it just became a funny, popular meme because it's like, ha ha ha, USA school shootings. They can't get a fucking gold medal. But then, like, a day later, they got one. So, take that. We're
but
good at school shootings and the Olympics.
Algeria won gold in boxing.
Oh, yes. Yes, they did.
With
The
that one girl, that stupid fucking controversy, which, oh my god.
Yeah, I was going to say the boxer with the controversy around her was the gold medalist.
Yeah, it's a stupid the fucking controversy. Most of the controversy around this Olympics is just straight up bullshit. Like, yeah, the intro ceremony, that whole fucking kerfuffle.
Oh,
This whole fucking kerfuffle with the Algerian boxer.
oh yeah, like one, I don't think they were trying to make a mockery of like the
Last Supper.
right. But even if they were, it's fucking France. What are you expecting?
Yeah, Last Supper happened what, like 2,000 years ago? Get over it.
I think, and like without delving too deep into it, like the thing that I found to be stupid about the Algerian boxer is like one, it's just your typical like this is the thing that Facebook is made for, which is polarizing such a non-fucking issue. Um but regard Shut the fuck up, Siri. Did you hear what Siri said to me?
What'd she say?
So I said, this is such a polarizing non-issue, and then Siri's like, I don't know how to respond to that.
That's odd. I didn't fucking ask you, Siri.
Shut the fuck up. Here's my thing, because I'm not going like I'm not in any mood to like stir a pot or anything. But the fucking chick met the Olympic Committee's standards for competing in that event. Like, end of story. Like, if you're mad that she's competing, talk to the fucking Olympic Committee about their standards, okay? But the other part of it too, like everybody's like, well, she's actually a man. Like, she's from Algeria. You know what's super fucking illegal in Algeria?
Transitioning.
Correct. So do you think the Algerians are going to send somebody that they'd probably kill to represent them in the Olympics?
Fuck no.
Right. It's fucking stupid.
But speaking of killing and sending people to the Olympics, that one pederast, what was he, Dutch or something?
Oh yeah, why weren't we more mad about the pedophile that was competing at the Olympics?
Also, fuck you, that was some genuine wordplay I just pulled out. The Dutch who touch too much.
That was good.
So clever it hurts. But anyway, I think we should have used him as the target in some of the shooting competitions.
That would really drive up the viewership.
Right? Western sports have lost their teeth ever since we started outlawing blood sports.
Personally, I think we should institute like a real life Hunger Games.
Nah, kind of like George Carlin's bit on the death penalty, where you take one of the square-shaped states like Washington or Colorado and cordon it off into a blood sport arena.
I mean, Colorado is almost a blood sport arena as it is, anyways.
Yeah, so you wouldn't even notice.
Right.
And that fucking asshole got to compete for some reason.
Yeah, I think there's bigger fish to fry. I remember seeing this post from do you remember Veronica from our William Wallace episode?
Oh shit, yeah.
So she had made a post that I thought was hilarious, and it was just like it was from the boxer who faced the Algerian, who's like, I've never been hit so hard in my life. And her post was like, my sister in Christ, you signed up for Olympic boxing. What were you fucking expecting?
Yeah, when I'm in a boxing competition and my opponent punches me.
Oh. Do you like my little math I did for your slave auction request of me?
Yes, and I was going to read it out to our dear listeners. Where the fuck is it? Okay, there we go. I get this text at 12:56 today, where I'm still asleep because I have great sleeping habits. You know what my weird Google search rabbit hole I always go down is converting currency. Me too, honestly. It gets way more difficult when you account for time periods. Anyway, Lou Costello bid the equivalent of 45,000 American dollars for the slaves, or the equivalent of 1.4 million today. Correction, 562,000. I fucked up the calculator. And then we got into the debate of is this a war movie or not? But my point is, the inflation calculator is fun. It's like one of my go-to apps that I have saved on my phone because there's a very simple reason for this. You would not believe the amount of times I've been talking to boomers, and just out of curiosity, I asked them, "So, what was your first job, and what did you make?" And my uncle, he went immediately into the Marines after high school, I think, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I didn't make a lot of money out of the Marines. I just got a job and made this amount." But keep in mind, this is the 90s and in California and blah, 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 blah. And while he was telling me this, I pull out my inflation calculator and I tell him to his face, like, you were making $180,000 in today's money. And that's without even factoring in your military pension. And he's like, "Oh, but this was California in the 90s. I'm like, "But fucking nothing, dude. You're making more than I'll ever make. I don't think I'll ever make more than 50 grand a year. And here you are just getting handed this job."
Well, I was, now that Miranda's done with school and she just got a job offer, our combined income is going to be like 150.
Yeah, he's making two people's money in 1990 without even trying. Jesus Christ.
But
But
I remember
I
kind of going with that like boomer thing is I always approach things with like a tinge of doubt. And I remember seeing this one post that basically they're like, Bob Cratchit only made, or Bob Cratchit made the equivalent of $25 an hour, and Ebenezer Scrooge was haunted by three ghosts for being a fucking like penny pincher. And I was like, did Bob Cratchit really make $25 an hour? So like I did this same rabbit hole. And at least my calculations, he was making closer to like $18 an hour. But still, like, whether it's 18 or 25, both of those numbers are kind of, or actually, like, by today's standards, are like pretty good pays to think of. And the fact that like Scrooge is getting fucking haunted over it.
And remember, he doubled his salary after the story ended. So
like,
he's making even more fucking money.
I will be doubling your salary.
If it's any comfort, at least I'm making more than Bob Cratchit is.
Yeah, you got that going for you.
Let me correct myself. Before the end.
But also, you gotta remember, you're making more than Bob Cratchit, and you don't have like 17 kids.
That I know about.
Right. However, we're
we're
going to have to discuss your finances once you get your 6 Algerian wives.
I think they're tax deductible in the United States. The 13th Amendment really fucked me over on the whole slaves part, though.
Goddamn Lincoln.
Wait. I got an idea. When they get to America, I put weed on their bodies and they get arrested by customs. So therefore, they can be my slaves because I'll declare myself as an independent contractor for the prison system. Sometimes my genius it's just astounding.
Anywho,
moving right along.
What was your like favorite gag in this film?
Oh man, There were a lot. The fucking prop fish they had with the dentures in it that would eat the other tinier fish. That, oh my god, the cat. It was a fucking catfish. The
I
catfish.
love how it like spat at Costello like it was Magikarp from Pokemon.
That's what inspired Magikarp, I bet. Totally. And yeah, the signature scene of them beating the shit out of each other, thinking they're like another person. Like, oh, here, I feel bad. Hit me with my own stick. No, I don't want to hit you with your own stick. Why? I want to do it with my own. It's fuck you.
I also appreciated the gag like in the beginning of the film, but like where they're in the wrestling rink and they're like, so you do this, but they just keep doing all the moves on Costello. And it was like 5 minutes long of just these two wrestlers beating the shit out of Costello. And I'm like, this is hilarious, but also, when the fuck are we moving this story along?
That same scene where it's the crowd noises and they're reacting to the what's happening in the ring. And then it goes to Costello looking solemn, and it zooms out slightly, and it's a fucking record playing that he takes off and breaks.
You know, the other part, sorry to swing back around to an earlier statement. I'm quite intoxicated at the moment. Um, but, you talking about how this is like a woke film and how it's like, oh, it's anti colonialism. Everything Abbott Costello did was for the betterment, like, ended up being in favor of the fucking colonial powers. Like, the French gave them medals.
Yes, but he sabotaged them by shooting up their base and the lights and somehow not killing anybody. And I'm pretty sure he blew up a couple of them in the climax of the film.
I don't know, man. They got rid of the Foreign Legion's like primary antagonist.
This movie is a liberal, progressive masterpiece, John, of
Okay.
subversive genius.
Okay.
And, and I love how most of their awards ceremony is thank you for what you did. Now please get the fuck out.
There's a ship. You need to be there in 20 minutes.
Thank you for your service. Are we married now? Get the fuck out of Algeria.
I love
Yeah,
the fact that like
there's like
Abbott
two
was
gay
like a really
marriages.
good soldier, but Costello was like a shit one.
Yet there's two gay marriage jokes in this.
Oh, I'll give him that.
So well.
Say you'll be mine forever.
And I mean, yeah, there's the whole human trafficking part at the end, but still, details.
Are we also going to ignore like the misogynistic part of this film where it's like they don't have an ally until one of the Arab dudes are like, I really don't want to marry this ugly girl. Will you help me? Okay, we're friends now.
Oh, that's either an ugly woman or a handsome beast.
Could
Yeah,
you?
like his primary goal is to just get the fuck away from Algeria. No, what's happening is he's fighting against a system of arranged marriage. See,
Ah,
he's fighting against tradition, ergo woke. I
fuck the
think.
patriarchy.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think.
when you watched this, did you watch it in black and white or did you watch it colorized?
I tried watching it colorized, but the version I watched was like really shittily colorized. I'm pretty
I
sure.
think I, I think
Pretty
I
sure.
watched the same version you started with because the version I watched looks like it was like AI colorized, so it kept like
Shifting colors.
it kept shifting colors, but also like it would switch back to the grayscale for like a second or two every now and again.
Yeah, I couldn't watch it, so I just went in black and white.
The version I watched like gave a bunch of dudes like blackface at one moment. I was like, what the fuck?
You see, they're mocking the current trend at the time of minstrel, the classic racist caricature of black people that was common in those times. So, ergo, it's a woke movie, I think. maybe.
Ah, okay. What was your least favorite aspect of this film?
Um, like you said, some of the jokes really fucking dragged out. Like the wrestling scene. Like, yeah, Costello torture porn is hilarious, especially when he's getting the shit kicked out of him for the umpteenth time. But Jesus Christ, let's move along, please.
Hmm.
And yeah, I guess, just the reasoning they have for going to Algeria in the first place to track down a former employee to get him to come back. Was he that lucrative where they would just drop that amount of money on a plane ticket to Algeria?
Oh, yeah, probably.
I mean, he was a dick, right? Like, it was he was very clearly a scripted wrestler, and he knew this going in, but he still wouldn't take the dive for the showmanship. And he's like, "Oh, I never lose." Dude, you signed up for a scripted battle. What the fuck were you expecting?
I love the fact that like a 1950s film is like very openly talking about like, yeah, wrestling's fucking rigged.
And people still think it's real, I think.
Still real to me, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not real wrestling.
Wrestling. Sir, you're gonna need to take your gay porn and get out of here.
Speaking of Olympics, I think it's about time we give this thing a rating.
Right. That is
I think for me, we've mentioned it a lot, and I don't think there's a better rating. Fucking 1 to 5 Oasis Catfish.
Yep. So, what do you give this movie?
Like I said, I've watched quite a bit of Abbott Costello in my youth, and I've always been more of a Three Stooges guy myself. This is not one of Abbott and Costello amongst their own uh, filmography, if you will. This is not one of their best. That being said, I do agree with you. It touches on, weirdly enough, it touches on colonialism in Africa post World War II, which is a very interesting and nigh discussed thing in film. So two
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 cat.
catfish. Yeah.
That sounds about right. You know,
Like the benefits of this film is purely the novelty of the setting.
it is a very interesting setting, but I think I'll give this one two catfish, and one has an old Arab militant's dentures in him, and he keeps biting my fish. So 2 out of 5, 2.5. Now, let us see what the thermometer says. So it has no thermometer for some reason, but it has an audience score of 58%. You know what? Okay, I see that.
I guess, but I think it also says something that the fucking thing doesn't have a thermometer score.
Did they just not bother with this?
I think so. Well, you gotta remember, Abbott Costello produced like umpteen billion films the same way the Three Stooges did.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's said on Wikipedia about their duos. They were overexposed in the 40s. So, as I said before, this was at the very waning arc of their career. How many? But okay, that's not really an answer. How fucking many? Huh? Google's failing me. Oh, Abbott and Costello made 36 movies together. These movies grossed 2.58 billion in adjusted domestic box office dollars. It's kind of hard to argue with. Not gonna lie, that's kind of hard to argue with.
They're cash cows, basically.
Yep.
Hmm.
Abbott and Costello go to Mars. Is that a war movie?
I don't know. Are there Martians?
I don't know.
Do they fight them?
I don't know. Why are you asking me? This is my first Abbott and Costello movie.
You know, you should watch Abbott and Costello, like, and the Wolfman or the Mummy and shit.
Meet the killer Boris Karloff. Interesting. But yeah, I think that's all that can be said about this movie.
Yeah, you know, it's a comedy. It's the 50s. It's a lazy film, honestly.
It is something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I would say this is a must watch, but like if you're really big into movies, I would say like add it to your list just for the sake of saying you watched it. But I would not say this is a oh my god, you must watch it at least once.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But you good if I choose next week's movie?
Go ahead.
Alrighty. Let's do 1898, Our Last Men in the Philippines.
Never heard of that in my entire life. What the hell's it about?
It's a foreign film and it's about so do you recall how America sees the Philippines from the Spanish?
Aye.
So basically at the end of the Spanish-American War, we got Cuba and the Philippines. This movie is about like a garrison of Spanish soldiers who are assigned to the Philippines and don't get the fucking memo that the Philippines don't belong to the Spanish anymore until like a year later.
Interesting.
So they like hold on to this fort and like fight the local Filipinos for like the better part of a year because they're like, we didn't get the order to stop fighting.
Okay, sounds interesting.
So that'll be next week.
Hell yeah.
A little foreign film action as opposed to Foreign Legion.
There you go.
But do you have anything?
I love you.
I love you too. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. The stars do matter. You can find us on other platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, TikTok, what have you, under Armchair Commanders. We'd love to see you over on those places as well. Until next week, I've been John.
And I'm Jack.
And we will see you all later.
Bye.